What's up, homies? Iron Lung came out a while ago, and honestly, it's more than I expected. Now, before I even continue with the review, analysis, whatever I gotta be honest, guys. I'm not really a fan of Markiplier. I just never really thought that his gaming videos were that funny. Just cause back then he really used to have that like weird YouTuber gaming accent, I guess.
No! Oh, give me Deborah! Come on!
There's a couple other YouTubers that does the same thing. Like, I won't lie, that's why I'm not really into PewDiePie or Jacksepticeye. They all have that weird, over-the-top accent. But I've seen a couple of videos before that made me laugh, but that don't mean I hate him or anything. He's cool, you know, he's a YouTube legend in my eyes, because anyone that can entertain on the YouTube platform for many years and still be loved, he just objectively goated. So when I heard he was gonna make a movie based on the most boring game with pretty interesting lore, I was kind of curious on how that would have turned out to be, but not curious enough to go check it out on my own. But luckily I have a girlfriend who loves Markiplier, and she's a big fan. Alright, she's one of his biggest fans. I mean, if Markiplier was across the street from us while me and my girl were at a Cane's, you know, getting a Caniac combo with extra cane sauce, no coleslaw, extra fries, she'd immediately run over to Mark and just hit the Markiplier little cousin emote all over him. So of course, going to see the movies wasn't even a question. And of course, she enjoyed it. But what does a non-fan of Markiplier, whose only YouTuber movie he's seen was a shitty Smosh movie's opinion on the Iron Lung? And before I explain, I'm gonna give a verbal warning. Yes, this is spoiler heavy. And that's because the fact that he did everything in the game exactly how it is. Which means there's not a lot to talk about, guys. And for most people who know the game, most of it technically wouldn't be spoilers. But there are some things he did that added actual story, unlike the game version. Which, even then, he still did everything beat for beat, basically. So let's both get into the story of the game and the movie, technically. So both the game and the movie take place in a somewhat futuristic world, which that isn't the important part. But what is important, where a catastrophic event happened called the Quiet Rapture, where all the planets and stars vanished, which means so did life on Earth, just wiped out. And the only remnants of humanities are space stations that were on different moons. Till one day a blood ocean just appeared on the moons. And of course, curiosity is part of human nature. Scientists decided to explore the blood oceans to possibly find out what caused the Quiet Rapture, or just anything to save humanity. But to explore them, they used these submarine type vessels called Iron Lungs, which is the title of the game and movie. But they specifically sent criminals to board the ships to do the exploration, to take pictures under the oceans for studies. Again, this is basically the game's info and the story off the start, so this isn't really spoilers, because the movie, The Iron Lung, follows the game exactly how it is, word for word, bar for bar, which is where Markiplier's character, Simon, is set up in. He's a convict who was tasked to board a Iron Lung to try to find anything worth studying in the blood ocean. And that's where the majority of the movie takes place in, the submarine. It gives kind of a claustrophobic feeling with how small and tight the submarine is, and especially knowing the fact that there's only one window, and there's not even a door because the scientists welded the submarine shut, which obviously implies that they weren't expecting anybody to return. Now in the movie specifically, there's other things that are kind of shown. How you see the ship descent into the ocean, or that when they raise up the ship, you actually see some lady who's in charge and talking to Mark, which is nothing crazy, but it's the fact that the game has none of that. That, and the only other physical person you see is this dude who's all wrapped up, you know, basically welding some shit onto the ship, which by the way was actually Jacksepticeye, who's covered head to toe, and Markiplier's character Simon being pissed because they were gonna send him back down in the blood ocean, even though he thought that he was finished. And the way he takes pictures is hitting the button in the back, the type of pictures that they kind of need to take. Since it's in the blood ocean, you can't take normal pictures, so they used X-ray cameras. And when he pressed the button up back on the surface while Jacksepticeye's character was welding, the X-ray picture, you know, took the picture of Jack. So he accidentally gave Jacksepticeye cancer.
Oh, what'd that do?
I don't know.
Oh no, Carl! I'm so sorry. It's a cancer ray! Harley Quinn, you gave me cancer?
Why would they even make this?
I just wanted to add that since it's kind of funny, and the fact that we didn't know You know, me and my girlfriend didn't know that it was Jacksepticeye until the end of the movie. This whole movie goes on about how slowly it turns Simon insane by how long he's been in the ocean, but also the fact that there's some creature down there and how the people on the surface pretty much just left him to die. And it's only till he had come across valuable files from another sunken ship that he had discovered that was what only made him worthy enough to be saved by the scientists. Because whatever files or info that's in that other second ship must have been super fucking important. Now, I'll stop explaining the story here since there's not much to tell, but to what happens seems inevitable because it's, like I said, it's beat for beat with the game ending. But I do want to touch on the actual set designs and the acting and the overall movie experience. Now, the movie's set design is really well, mainly because they only had to shoot 90% of the movie in like the metal tube. But still, the lighting, the mechanical parts of it were great. You know, the actual rustiness of the look, the design of it in the first place, of the inside. And even the scenes that were anything but the inside of the ship, like Simon's flashbacks, the kind of what you can see outside of the submarine when he's talking to the scientist lady or whoever the fuck. You know, it looks well. And they perfectly cut things to kind of not linger on the background, giving it more mystery to the movie. Although there was stuff I didn't like of the movie that made me go, holy shit, what am I watching? Like the shaky cams. Cause goddamn, I can't see anything. Like, dude, there's something would cause the ship to go off course or shake. And whenever it moves, the camera just shakes so damn much. It's like having a POV of a seizure. Another thing with the camera shots, dude, it felt like every shot in this movie was just zoomed in on every object or every pore of Markiplier's skin. But to be fair, there's not a lot to shoot, you know, scenes in. Because again, it's just Markiplier and a metal tube, so it's fine, I guess. But still, every shot was just zoomed in on pipes, the lights, the ceilings, or his hands and face. Like, we get it, can you just back up, bro, please? Now, his acting, it goes to show that most YouTubers aren't the greatest of actors. As most things they act in are, you know, skits or shitty movies. But honestly, his acting it's okay. Like, not shitty, but his deliveries on certain lines seem not bland, but almost like he's in an expensive YouTube skit, you know? But it doesn't help that I think some lines are kind of cringy. Not too bad like Hazbin Hotel cringe, but more like a Marvel one-liner. And not the funny kind. But again, I think it's his delivery to those lines that makes it kind of weird sounding a bit. And what is weird is that throughout the movie, his acting seems to get better. It's weird. Me and my girlfriend both thought the same thing. Like, it's weird that he sounded better or his line delivery got better as the movie kept on going. But she said that maybe as the story got interesting, we were invested to the point that he seems good. That might be true, but I thought his, you know, later lines that were emotional or had emotional scenes in it, he actually did really good in it.
I just want to live. Is that so wrong? Why doesn't anybody else want that?
Overall, The Iron Lung is a movie with an interesting mystery, but the biggest complaint to the movie that hurts it, in my opinion, is at the beginning is fucking boring. Holy shit, the first 30 minutes to an hour of the movie is long. And the fact that this movie is 2 hours long, by the way. I was like, there's no way I was gonna be able to be entertained of Markiplier just sitting in a metal tube muttering to himself for this long. But it's not boring to say that nothing happens, but when shit does happen, it takes its time. Usually I don't mind bad pacing on anything, but fuck, 30 raw minutes of Markiplier just talking to himself, whispering to himself. And he even had like certain angles of him where it looked like he was making a YouTube video. And of course it cuts with, you know, the occasional scientist, you know, talking to him, speaking to him on the intercoms. But, you know, I think just if it was just him, it would have kind of ruined the movie more. But as long as he had people to talk to over the intercoms, made it slightly better. But I get it, since the game does nothing, he's got nothing else to do but to do nothing but kind of move the ship, take some pictures, whatever. And to be fair, when I did go see the movie, before I even saw it, I expected it to be this sort of boredom, quietness going on, since the game is boring, so it makes sense. But still, it was a sort of dread that you kind of had to like endure. But once the goopy blood monster finally starts, you know, harassing Markiplier's metal tube, that's when shit gets down. And we get into the spookiness of being trapped in a hunk of metal deep in an ocean of blood, which is insane. I think in all honesty, it took me by surprise on how good it was. And I'm not saying that it's so bad it's good, or it's shitty that it's really good, or that it's supposed to be bad and that's what makes it good. But what I mean is it's good in the sense it's a good watch. It's interesting when it needs to be, it's silent when it has to be, and it's emotional where it hits. It's so interesting to the point where it gets you invested throughout its boring parts, and that investment pays off in the end of the story. You know, the pacing might not be coherent, you know, with the silence and the nothingness, but for people a fan of the games or the game's lore, I think they would love the portrayal of its movie. And after seeing the movie, I actually personally think that the Iron Lung probably, like the story or the lore, all of it, I think it works better as a movie, the way it's structured. And if I didn't mention already, Markiplier not only acted in the movie, but he's the one that produced the movie, directed, I believe, and he put most of his, you know, funds, his money, to the production of the movie. But it's crazy that Markiplier, a YouTuber, made a 2 hour long movie being stuck in this metal submarine in the blood of ocean, that concept of a video game, and adapted it to a movie. And it's not even a famous game, by the way. It's like those shitty indie games that somebody made within like 3 hours, and Hollywood's pretty pissed at it, which that's funny. Now don't get me wrong, this movie isn't the next best thing, you know. It is a great watch, but in my opinion, it's only a good watch for the one time movie. Although I'll say this, anytime a character spoke through that damn intercom, that shit sounded like a Charlie Brown, like adult speaking. Dude, I couldn't hear anything. I'd need to watch this movie again with subtitles. Oh, and by the way, the only reason why this movie's rated R is because Markiplier kept saying the bad F word so many times. Like almost every 20 minutes he'll say it. But it's not like Hazbin Hotel, like cussing bad. It's just, you know, he fall and he's like, oh fuck, oh goddammit, fuck me, when, you know, the monster's about to bite the ship or something. But he has already said, I think, like within like the first 10 minutes. So of course it was gonna get rated R real quick. But in this movie, it shows that the story is a great way to tell a tragedy of the inevitability of being trapped under a mysterious, you know, sea, doomed to fail for even a sliver of hope for humanity, and for Mark's character Simon to make amends for his past sins.
Okay. Hey guys.
Again, it's a good movie, especially for a YouTuber. And Markiplier did great directing, editing, and acting. Even for a YouTuber I don't even watch, and only seen him in like memes and shit like that, and clips, whatever. But I'd give his first movie a solid 7.5 out of 10. Overall enjoyment, but really well structured, set designs, it was good. Production was great. Dialogue for the most part was good, but kind of slimmed down by the delivery of said dialogue. But it's insane that it progressed over as the movie went on. Now, thanks for watching, homies. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down your thoughts if you've seen the movie, or comment down things like hi, because I'm lonely. Also, what would help is if you press that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all in another video. Later.